Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel where one nerdy ass guy is watching a bunch of nerdy ass voice actors play Dungeons and Dragons. Um, so, first off, welcome. I want to thank everybody that watches this live or in the archives tomorrow. Um, I also want to say thanks so much for checking out my video last week for this. And the reason I'm doing this now is because partially because I don't want to do it in the morning, but partially because last time, um, after the episode was over, and I went looking to find somebody that was talking about last week's episode, I didn't find anybody. And so while I know that when I made my video last week, I did feel a little bit weird, like I'd not talked about an episode of Critical Role that fast before. I didn't know the etiquette. I know that they ask people not to use clips and things. Um, so I wasn't using clips. I was just talking about it. But I hope the community thought it was okay. And it seemed like everybody seemed like it was fine. But here we are live. And this is a special occasion. This is not something I'm going to be doing all the time. Um, Also, my signal's kind of bad. So I don't know why, but I got kind of a bad signal here. So hopefully you guys can see and hear me all right. Uh, but yeah, after the devastating moments of last week, I thought today I need to do a live video. I also want to mention that after last week, when they announced the Beauregard sleeveless vest that Matt wore, I joked, and I know I wasn't alone in the comment section about this, that it felt like Matt gained advantage during last week's episode. And before the whole episode went down, as soon as they announced it, I ordered it because I was like, I can't wait to to get this. You know, I want a cool vest too, and I mean, I got it, and I'm definitely gonna put it on. I was wearing it in the thumbnail, so I'm down right now. All right, it is almost 1 in the morning here where I live. I had to change the time of this thing several times because I wasn't sure when this episode was actually going to be over. So here we are. Are we ready to talk about this? So, yes, last week, as it ended, if you're watching this and you didn't catch the last week's episode, well, get on that. Stop watching this. Um, Orem went down, dead. Fern went down, dead. Wadna, unconscious. Basically dead. Imogen finally did what she needed to do. I'm still not quite clear on what happened. I don't think Imogen's clear on what happened. But everything went white. Buildings were crumbling. It was chaos. And for a week, we've all been sitting around wondering what the hell happened? What the fuck is going to be the aftermath of this? Who's dead? Who's alive? Will they all be dead? You know, who knows what was going to happen out of this? I had flashbacks to Calamity. Um, and a whole bunch of people felt the same way. This was like a huge, huge moment. And however you saw this episode, that episode, you know, how you liked it, didn't like it, you were hoping that people were going to be alive, you hoping they were all going to die. I saw all the range of emotions in the comment section. And I want to also bring up how happy I was to see the comments section be so filled with compassion for others, understanding of others, helpful, because I'm still learning this whole D&D thing, and I can call it like thing. Being still less than a year into allowing myself to branch out into new new realms of nerddom. I still have a long ways to go, and so it was really, really helpful for people to talk about the different tactics, the different spells. And Imogen went Phoenix Force. That's a good one. And so I want to say thanks to everybody that was really welcoming and made me feel good. And I know that there are tons and tons of people that you guys can go to for Critical Role content, and I'm just happy for 1 week. I felt a little good. I felt welcomed by the community, because it just, I've talked about a lot of shows and a lot of movies and things like that, and comic books, and I've talked about so much on my channel. So to get to engage with people and reach out and talk to everyone about how they're feeling, because that's how I do things on my channel. We talk about our feelings. We talk about how things made us feel. And so it was really, really great to engage with so many people, and I can't wait to engage with more of you. And I will be doing more Critical Role, just not in this format. I'm not going to be going live every week. This is special. I worked all day. I had to close. In fact, I just realized my laptop was unplugged. So I probably would have ran an hour before this is over. So, to just move things along now. So when we come back, there were so many different opinions on this. How is it going to go? And we got our answers tonight. Now, we didn't get all the answers because there's still a big old question mark. But who lived, who died, we all know by now. And depending on who you are and how you feel, you got what you wanted, you didn't get what you wanted. Maybe you, like I said, maybe you wanted them all to die, because there should be consequences. And you might feel cheated by this. All these opinions, all these ways of feeling are valid. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Even if you feel like the tactics weren't used right, I want to tell you right now, just as upset as I was in my Discord watching last week's episode, I was just as frustrated tonight for a little while, watching them try to figure out what to do, how to do it, who do we bring back, can we bring anybody back? And as Bill's saying here in the chat, FCG barely made that DC-10 check that I didn't know was something that had to happen. I didn't know that. I thought it was just he does the spell, and I should have known. I should have known that there was going to be some catch to it, and he barely pulled it off. And if he hadn't, we would definitely be having a different conversation right now. But and it was chaos. Because, as soon as they dealt with it, right? Well, first, we should probably talk about the white light stuff, where everybody that was caught up in it saw things. Chetney was thinking about his younger years. Ashton saw his parents, which is a huge thing in this episode. After everything is said and done, we got a thing about for Ashton and the helmet. And what's all going to mean? Will it mean anything in the end? I don't know. Yet FCG and the automatons and the man, the bad man and the woman who got him out. And, I think that this was all amplification, as kind of going back to what Bill's saying about the Phoenix Force and how Jean Grey was a super, telepath. I think a lot of this was residual effects to that. Such a big impact, the power that was coming off of Imogen got so far into their heads that it was pulling out things that were so far back, so far stuck in these people's memories, things that they hadn't even, that were blocked out or forgotten, are coming to the surface. So, the impact of what was happening, besides them trying to bring people back, just shows how powerful Imogen is, what she's capable of. And was that the point of what Odahan is doing? I fully expected Imogen to possibly not be there at all. I thought maybe she'd disappear with Odahan. So here we are. So she didn't. But like the devastation was real. This was not a dream. I mean, we ran through that, bit in the comment section as well. Is this a dream? Is this something, but I feel like that would have been a cheat. That would have been a really weird cop out because there needed to be consequences. And after a long week, they had some time to think about things, and it was still just as chaotic. And I honestly thought, because Liam and Travis at the end of last episode, right? Like Travis seemed to almost be rushing Chetney towards death. But they were both really into what was happening. They both at the end said, that was awesome, Matt. And it was. Matt was awesome last week. Everybody, but I kind of felt like I had come to terms with Orym being killed. I felt like Liam was okay with it. Matt, I guess, had tweeted out earlier this week that if anybody had really wanted to come back, they'd figure it out, blah, blah, blah. But I had come to terms with that. And I honestly thought that Laudna and Fern would be fine as long as everything went according to the plans, that, the using the Revivify spell worked. As long as they could get that to come back. But then when they revealed where everybody was on the field as they came back, and Laudna was furthest away and covered in debris, I immediately went, Laudna's dead. Laudna's gonna die here. Doesn't mean that I wanted Laudna to die. I started thinking of it strategically and trying to keep emotion out of it, even though, like, I confessed later, after everything was finally over for the who lived and who died, there was like this one weird tear that had been like hanging out at the side of my face that finally like slid down my cheek. I didn't even know it was there. I started strategizing in my head. Who's the best? Who should live? Like, why should, the wise and everything. I thought that I even said, like, well, Liam's a better roller than Marisha. I hated to say it like that, but in the end, it was nothing like that. It really was positioning on the field that I thought was the most important. And I know that they wanted to try to save everyone. It was almost maddening, but they're all friends. The characters all are like each other. They would desperately try to hold each other together. Me, as an audience member, I was thinking strategy less than who do I like more. Like, if it was just a choice of who do I like more, that'd be easier, but it's not. You had to actually think about how to do this. And for a few minutes there, which felt like a lot longer, I wasn't sure anybody was going to get saved. But once FCG pulled off that barely DC 10, which was enough to shoot my anxiety up quite a bit, and brought Fern back, that was good enough. We got Fern back, and that was good. But then it got a little more crazy because it just didn't appear like that Fern knew what to do, or Ashley, however you want to put it. And then making the decision to who to get Orym or Laudna back. Orym's right there, but Taliesin, Ashton's character wants to figure out how to get her there, and there's all this questions of, okay, I'll go halfway, you go halfway. It was a little maddening for me. I don't know how everybody else felt, where I was just like, I guess I just wanted it to be over and easy, but it's not easy. It's not an easy thing. I had to try to see it through the character's eyes instead of just through my own. but in the end, it really was the right choice to me. Look, I love Laudna. She's a lot of fun. She's a really fun, interesting character. Delilah's a really great wrinkle. She's such a great callback to campaign one. And all these characters are tragic characters, and they all have value, and they all have things, and there's people who are in all the different camps. I've seen all the cosplayers and everything. There was a great cosplay I saw of people dressed as Orym and Fern and Laudna together, showing how much people love these characters individually, together. So when it came down to finally decide that Orym should be the one to get the Revivify, to me it really made sense. And I don't mean to I joked earlier about Liam just rolls better than Marisha when it counts. That is just me being funny and glib. Maybe not so funny to some of you. But that Laudna also, because of Delilah, because of how she exists in the first place, it wouldn't be out of the realm of impossibility to figure out a way to bring her back. They made a point of saying, Orym's just a guy. Laudna has come back before. And now we just have to work that out. Now, some of you might not even like that. They didn't really try to save Mollymauk when he died. I mean, they moved on pretty quickly. Now, when I say moved on, I mean the show moved on. Like it, Caduceus was introduced, and we got a great character out of that. But in this, they're really fighting hard now to figure out how to correct this. Whether you like it or not, that's what's happening. I even said I would really like to just see what Marisha could come up with for a new character. And that might still happen. You never know. Again, it's all about the roles, baby. So when we, and there's tons of options now. And I don't mean to gloss over it because this really was emotional. And I want to point out Jay Fran in the chat with Fern and Orym's long-standing relationship. Yep, from EXU, it just made sense in terms of RP. I'm glad that's how it went, though I'll certainly miss Laudna. I absolutely agree. I said that in my Discord. I said it really shouldn't be that hard of a choice because Fern and him are basically besties. They've been hanging out since Exandria Unlimited. They got what was it, 6 or 8 episodes together before campaign 3 started. So just from a character standpoint, Fern, as much as she was tortured by it, it made more sense to pick Laudna, to be the one who perishes. And Marisha handled it like a champ, man. Laura was having a harder time with this outwardly. I'm sure Marisha was internally feeling like, oh. But again, even when they started the episode tonight, they were all happy and fun, and up until Matt said it's time to start the episode, and then they started getting buggy. They started freaking out. Because now it's being real. They can't just joke around at the table. They have to get in the game. So it was a lot. If it finally came out, and poor Laura, she was crying almost the entire episode. It felt like, emotionally. These are not just characters for it's their friendship. It doesn't mean that their friendship's going away, but feeling like her character maybe is responsible for all this. What happened with Odahan was an OP situation. They were up against somebody that was just way more powerful. Now, that being said, there was also the debate of run or fight last week. Since I know less about this, some people, and again, I want to thank everybody who was giving me tips on why running was a bad idea. I absolutely agree now. In retrospect, they should have just went at this full tilt, and maybe they could have fought. I had complained that when instead of running, they were trying to hit and run. They just couldn't get it going. So if they had just gone, I mean, even though Ashton went down super fast last week, he did get back up. And if they had just done it, but it's woulda, coulda, shoulda at this point. Just kind of got to accept what happened. So Laudna has fallen, but they have plans to get her back. Now the whole rest of this episode is figuring out how to get out of town. Going to Imahara's, hiding in his, getting our Inglorious Bastards moment of hiding underneath the place, trying to stay away from the Paragon's call that's looking for him. I wondered if this was going to be where, like, where is this going to be a capture episode? Were they going to end up captured by the end of this? But it was also a time for them to heal, to go through the crates that they had, to find some things, the white powder, the potions of possibility. There was a lot of cool stuff happening in here. This was a really great, I mean, we had a lot of emotional moments. We got 2 presents. FCG making the toolbox, the wood toolbox for Chetney, apologizing for what went down when he tried to kill him, when he tried to kill everybody, which again was also in the same day. This has all been in the same day. I kind of forgot about that. So, and then Chetney having the emotional clock. It's just, it's just so much fun when we get this much kind of like character stuff in an episode that it was so emotionally coming off of last week again, so emotionally gutting for so many of us. And then getting hit again here. Because, I mean, Laudna fans, I am so sorry for you. Like, it could have been all of them. Could have been 2 of them. There is hope, so I feel for all the people who didn't get what they wanted in this. But again, there's hope. There is hope. I had hoped that they would have gotten to the airship a little quicker. I kept just saying, somebody call the airship. But once it was revealed that they needed a long rest before she could do it, great. Also, Esterhaus, contacting Esterhaus. I predicted right off the bat, they can warn Esterhaus all they want. Esterhaus does not run. And I was right. Once they talk to him, he's just like, I knew this team. And it's been a while since we've seen Lord Esterhaus, and I'm very excited to see him come back. Now, whether or not we're going there or not remains to be seen. I think they'll probably go there. We got to get Treshy back, who is alive. There was that whole moment when they were questioning Treshy, where Orym looked like he was in the right circumstance. It felt like Orym was about to just snap. Like he had that intense look where he just was waiting for if this guy made any kind of move, he was gonna. I mean, he got punched by Ashton, but Treshy's in bad shape. But who cares? The Paragon's call almost finds them, but they also left. I was so happy that they didn't just try to leave right away. I'm glad that they stayed quiet and waited. Part of me wondered if they were going to be like, they were going to just walk out and have like a whole bunch of crawlers and people just waiting there, and not turned in by Imahara Joe or anything, just like that something happened and they just knew like this is the place to watch and we're going to be there. I'm trying to think of other things that I missed that I haven't talked about here. Like I said, we had the whole thing, but the helmet that Ashton had because the museum, that was the whole thing about the museum, which feels so long ago, everybody. But finally getting the airship to show up, that whole thing was exciting. Coming down and the crawlers going out, and I'm like, oh, like even though I thought airship versus crawlers should be a no-brainer, but like because again, kind of poorly planned, how do we get the airship in? The ladder going down, Chetney rolling a natural 1. Ashton rolling an 8, and then Imogen shows like how powerful she is, how valuable a character she is by shooting a fly, and Chetney getting to fly off into the sky as they fly back and get the hell out of the Hellcatch Valley. I don't know about you guys, but the Hellcatch Valley was a mixed bag for me. When it was exciting, it was exciting. When it wasn't, it wasn't. But I'm glad that they're getting out of Dodge. I don't know where they're going. I know that they talked about going to Whitestone, where the Derolos know everything about Delilah. Talking about the Tempest and Keyleth and getting a hold of her. There's so many ways now that this can go. Like, this story was not supposed to be like this. Like, this story is changing. And it's one of the reasons why I love Critical Role so much. Because you just never know what's going to happen next. And so wherever we're going, the whole quest to save Laudna now begins next week. So I really want to, again, thank everybody who really gave me a boost of confidence last week by checking out the video. And again, I don't expect to have my videos be successes, in my opinion, every week. But it did give me the confidence to continue with the Critical Roles reactions and things like that. And you'll see different kinds of content for Critical Role on this channel, but it'll never just be some standard thing. And to me anyway. So again, I want to thank everybody that helped me out last week. I really needed it, and you guys were so welcoming, and I really needed that. And I'm glad that I was able to talk to you guys that were feeling low last week and wanted to talk it out, because that's what we do here. We talk things out. We, if we don't understand and we're upset or whatever, this is what we do. Bradley Hurley here is, I'm surprised that Fern didn't just go for Orym. I think the debate was more Ashley trying to figure out who she wanted to save, not Fern. I absolutely agree. There were a few moments in this episode where I wasn't sure if the character was upset or confused, or if the player was. There was a moment when I couldn't tell if Taliesin was pissed off or Ashton was pissed off. And Laura and Imogen, I know that was a combination, because Laura's a good actor, but this one hurt her really bad. And those tears this week were real. Those tears last week were real. Everybody's tears were real. I think Ashley was being Ashley, less Fern. I think that we've already, as much as I love Ashley, she always seems to be the least prepared when we really need her to be prepared. But that's okay. It's just a game. Got to remember that. It's just a game. But I will be back next week. Sometime after next episode 35 to do some more content. Like I said, this was a special occasion to do this live. But I would like to go to bed myself. And I'm just, hopefully anybody who watches this from here on out that wasn't here live, I hope you guys get some kind of, leave in the comment section what you guys thought. Tell me what you think. Give me more stats. Give me more tactics. Tell me what we can do. What are the different options? Because we were talking it out in the Discord, and there's so many different things that they could do and different options. And what would happen? What happens if, I know Bill was talking about what happens if Laudna becomes Imogen's warlock patron, and she would have to create a new character. What would that be like? There's so many different ways that this can all go. And that's one of the reasons why I love Critical Role. And I love the people that make Critical Role. This has given me such a great appreciation for D&D and fans of D&D. And one day I'll get into my own game. I know that I'm going to be playing D&D at some point in my life. And that's very exciting. And I can't wait to join in that love of this game like all of you have. And I can't wait to get good and better at it. I'm going to mention again what Bradley Hurley's saying. I'm going to go with, they couldn't accidentally bring Delilah back, as they would need somewhere around a level 20 cleric to do so, also given how Matt requires skill checks for resurrections. Thank you. Laudna was in some in-between state, so I would think that technically if she came back, she could not come back as her half-dead self, but her true self, though obviously that's going to be a DM call. Yeah. The whole Delilah thing is very interesting, but that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that. And that whole heading off at the pass thing, did talk about that. When he put the spell on her to preserve her, the heading off at the pass, nobody really knows what that means. If you guys know what that means, I shouldn't say nobody. Somebody knows what that means out there. So leave it in the comment section below. Well, after it's live, after the live stream is over. So thanks everybody so much. If you like what I'm doing here, I usually, I feel like I'm brand new at this again because I used to forget to say like and subscribe. I finally got used to saying it at the beginning. Now I'm back to saying it at the end again. So if you like what I'm doing here, don't forget to hit that like button. Gentle repose is a thing, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll be back with more content sooner rather than later. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And is it Thursday yet? Bye.